Have you had a direct experience of witchcraft, black magic, or voodoo? Yes, my ex made a blood pact with a demon to bind me to her. She promised to turn over her next-born child to this demon. In exchange, she said she only agreed to the child's soul because she didn't think she would have another, as she's homosexual. The binding worked, but in a messed up way. I returned, but not because I truly wanted to. When I left, she went somewhat crazy, using heavy drugs, self-harming, letting her mental health decline, and many more terrible things. I went back to a miserable relationship for another 5 years because of guilt. I was convinced she'd kill herself if I left again. Months later, things were close to normal, and she admits this binding spell to me. Ironically, she ended our relationship citing religious issues, and dove headfirst into the occult. She works closely with and follows instructions of Azazel. The name Azazel appears in the Bible in association with a scapegoat rite. In some traditions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, it is the name of a fallen angel. The name Azazel is most commonly used as a reference to Satan or a fallen angel by drawing the sigil of Azazel. John is drawing a sigil, a symbol that is used for magical purposes of the devil. This symbol is also known as the seal of Saturn. Canon of Marvel Universe, a demon-like mutant called a Nephilim and father to Nightcrawler. The complete range of abilities available to the Nephilim species is unknown. Being an immortal demon-like mutant may grant him several powers his hybrid human son may not possess. According to the Book of Enoch, which brings Azazel into connection with the biblical story of the fall of the angels, located on Mount Hermon, a gathering place of demons of old. Enoch, Azazel is one of the leaders of the rebellious Watchers in the time. Currently, she is with a new female who is deeply involved in witchcraft too. She's lost her job, new car, house, is living in a van across the country, and has officially abandoned her 10-year-old daughter. She ghosted on me at the end of the summer, but for some reason I can't move on and think of her almost hourly. Logically, I know it's a very toxic, unhealthy obsession with someone who doesn't care about me in the slightest, but it's unstoppable. I blame her binding spell and the demon who she made the pact. I can only imagine what that demon was Azazel, as he's been a steady part of her experience for years now. Or Azazel. Sorry for the long rambling response. I wanted to get as many of the negative consequences that occurred because someone dabbled in the darker side of the craft. She regrets what she did in a moment of desperation, but not as much as I regret her doing it. There's only one sense in which anyone has witnessed or experienced black magic: through the placebo effect. When people have a strong belief in the power of an idea, that idea can actually result in subtle physiological effects. For instance, if I have a stuffy nose and you are able to completely convince me that you can communicate directly with God, and that you know God has decided to cure my cold, I may actually feel better. My congestion and discomfort may actually decrease. Why? Because the body produces hormones as a result of stress, and the body reacts to those hormones. If you convince me you have cured my congestion, I will produce fewer stress hormones, and that may result in my congestion actually lessening to some degree. Conversely, if you convince me that you know black magic, and if you convince me that you have cursed me with, say, clumsiness, I may in fact act more clumsily than usual. Why? Because my mind is constantly sending me messages that I'm more clumsy now. My glands are secreting stress hormones that will affect my physical functions. So in that sense, yes, people have probably seen black magic at work. People have undoubtedly seen black magic believers act or respond in certain ways as a result of what they're told is black magic being worked on them or around them, but there is no actual black magic force at play. What is really at work is the power of our mind to create physical changes in our own body that we are not even aware of. Nobody has ever seen black magic work outside of anyone's own body. That is, nobody has seen objects or creatures appear or disappear. No demons have ever been shown to exist. Nobody has ever moved a penny, let alone a mountain, with the power of their mind, or of prayer, or of spells. The changes we can create through our strongly held beliefs are confined to our minds and bodies alone. Conceivably, to other creatures who can detect our pheromones and might react different due to that exposure and to the changes we make in the world around us due to our beliefs. Black magic, as with any other faith, only has the power to change our thinking, not to directly affect the outside world. Thank you for the A2A. I'll start with voodoo because mostly my experience with it is Hollywood, so I know very little. For as long as I looked down my nose at it, hey, I was in college and still had lots to learn. I didn't learn all the zombie stuff. I couldn't see the beauty or spirit and wondered why people fell for it. Then I was in an anthropology religion class and learned that voodoo originated in West Africa. And while it still doesn't speak to me, I finally saw the beauty and spirit. Any road on to black magic. I personally don't believe in black magic or white magic for that matter. If one understands magic to be the manipulation of energy to effect change to the world, then that would make magic a tool, not unlike a hammer. And she goes on to say, oh yes, I've had many experiences with magic. I will give you a sample. It was January and my circle was celebrating the full moon. It was frickin' cold for us anyway. I live in the desert and there was quite the wind chill. We were out on a balcony bundled in layers of cloaks and blankets. I cast a circle and we started a ritual. About 2 minutes in, people started coming out of their cocoons, even the 2 bean poles we have. You know, the kind, tall, thin, no extra meat, always cold because the wind has died down and we were warmer. There is a part in our rituals where we eat and drink a little bit. This is done to help ground us, dissipate any leftover energy, and share experiences we had during the group magic. We kept commenting on how much fun we were having because it wasn't as cold as before. Everyone was content to stay outside after we were done with ritual and kept talking and keep talking. The ritual itself had been pretty great and we were enjoying each other's company. Then I opened the circle, I sat back down, and less than a minute later the wind picked up. We were frozen and huddling our laughing selves back into the house. The circle had protected us, raised the temperature, and allowed us to conduct our ritual more comfortably. Many participants in rituals that include the casting of a circle have stories on how the temperature changed inside the space. The 9 of us at particular circle that night all knew of those stories, and perhaps we shared a group hallucination. Or sure, it really could have just been coincidence. Or I can't cast a ball circle that night. Or I cast the ball circle that night. My appreciation of the phenomenon doesn't change because of the truth behind it. It was still an awesome experience and a memory I would carry for the rest of my days. I could name dozens of times when stuff that wasn't quite explainable happened. The sinking stone. Or the day my aunt got to go four-wheeling. She was really ill at the time, and that day she wasn't. The moments of knowing, getting George to show up at precisely the right time. Finding my 4'10" friend in the huge dealer's room at Anime Expo. The trick to knowing that magic is real isn't being able to call lightning on the top of the mountain, or being able to make someone fall in love with you. It's the small nudges in the universe that you can't quite explain. Sure, science can't explain magic yet, but once upon a time we didn't know that Jupiter had rings either, and a man participating in an experimental far-seeing program documented seeing them before NASA did. I hope this gives you something to think about.